Hello, I am Nick Zhang, and this is Project 1, Compare Systematic Reviews in DBA820 for Dr. Drayson. Today we're going to look at the history and the purpose of this presentation, our recommendations, what is evidence-based management, what is rigor and transparency. We're going to look at the two systematic reviews that were given to us to review for the current issue at Locus. We're going to look at the assessment tool that we use to assess the two systematic reviews. And finally, we're going to look at a conclusion on how Locus should move forward in the future. As we all are aware, Lucas Innovations is a multinational company, and we've been extremely successful with producing components for GPS systems. In the last year, we've had a noticeable drop-off in staff retention. As staff are leaving, they're telling us that they have a lack of work-life balance. Our company's CEO is very interested in creating a more flexible work environment, whether that is more flexible schedules for staff on a daily basis or actually having staff telecommute and work from home if possible. The CAO has asked us to compare and analyze two systematic review articles and do this presentation. We want to choose the best review that best fits our current situation and give recommendations to the company on how we can move forward and hopefully not see such a drop-off in staff retention. After conducting a thorough assessment of the two systematic reviews we were given, that we will later talk about in this presentation, we came up with the following recommendations. The company needs to send out an employee and manager survey. This survey will ask employees and managers how they feel about the current work conditions and the possibility of having a flexible work schedule or a telecommuting schedule. One will ask employees if this is even possible with their current positions, as well as if they feel that this will help with their work-life balance, and also if it'll help them stay with the company. And the manager survey will ask if their department feels that they can work with a flexible schedule or even telecommute. After the survey is conducted and reviewed, we would look to select two departments at Locus to participate in the 90-day trial. One department would have a flexible working schedule, while the other department would have a telecommuting schedule. After the 90 days are finished, we would then conduct another survey to follow up and survey the same people and look at, again, how the new schedule has affected their work-life balance and if they feel that has been a good experience, both for the employee and the managers. Then we can look at all the data and make a better decision on how we want to move forward in the future. Evidence-based management is not a fad, overnight sensation, or new wave idea. It takes past experience, past research, and allows you to put it together and analyze to make good future decisions. Evidence-based management is when management makes decisions through a thorough, transparent, and rigorous use of the best available evidence from multiple sources. They do this by asking, translating their issue into a question, acquiring, systematically searching for and retrieving evidence, appraising, critically judging all of the evidence, aggregating, weighing the evidence and pulling it together, applying, incorporating all the evidence that they've gathered into their decision-making process, and assessing, putting it into motion, and evaluating the outcome of the decision that they have made. Rigor and transparency are very important when you are reviewing articles and research. Rigor helps ensure review findings are credible, transferable, dependable, and confirmable. Credibility is, are the findings believable? Are the findings relevant and transferable to what you're trying to accomplish? Are they dependable? And are they confirmable? Transparency is just as it seems. You want everything to be transparent in what you're doing. The researcher needs to be transparent in their process, their procedures, their decisions. And one of the most important parts of transparency is, are you able to replicate their work? Are you able to see how they found their research and what research they used? And can you go back and replicate it yourself? The first article that we reviewed was Flexible Working and Performance, a systematic review of the evidence for a business case by Lillian Menez and Claire Hiller. While we're going through the articles, we like to ask ourselves a few questions and write stuff down as we're reviewing. What was the purpose of the article? Well, the review aims to provide a rigorous assessment of the literature on flexible work schedules and their link with various direct and indirect indicators of performance in order to allow the business case for offering flexible work schedules to be assessed. The research question they chose was, what is the relationship between flexible working arrangements and performance or related outcomes? We also look at what method they used and what their rationale was, and that they chose a systematic review to look at the past relevant research on flexible work schedules to see if there was any impact on employee work performance satisfaction and retention, which is all important because that's what we're looking at, is retention and satisfaction. Their search strategy was to use keywords in a database, searching three main areas of interest: flexible work arrangements, work-related outcomes, and employee outcomes. Each area of searching had keywords associated with that area. Each keyword from each area was combined with the other areas to create 900 search strings. 256 pieces of lit were included in the initial sample. They were able to whittle that down to 148 articles that were selected that were relevant to the research question. A couple of other questions we asked while we're going through this. From an evidence-based management perspective, did the author make the case for why this study was needed? We felt yes. To research if flexible working schedules have an impact on employee performance, satisfaction, and retention. Was this review process transparent? Was it rigorous? Yes. They gave you all of their search parameters and keywords used, databases used, and time period used. You could easily recreate their work. The second article we reviewed was Employee Well-Being and the HRM Organizational Performance Relationship, a review of quantitative studies by Karina Verdi, Jop Pawi, and Mark Velden-Hooven. Going through our list of purpose, research question, methods, and the other questions we had, we start with the study's purpose. They had two views. Employers and employees both benefit from human resource management, or view two was human resource management has a positive effect on organizational performance, but has no or even a negative impact on employee well-being. Their research question was, is there more empirical support in the research literature for mutual gains, positive effects of human resource management on both employee well-being and organizational performance, or is there more support for conflicting outcomes, positive effects of human resource management on organizational performance, but no or a negative effect of human resource management on employee well-being? The methods they chose for their search strategy were not super clear. They did a search for articles and journals in the human resource management field. They did not tell us the keywords they used for their search. Then they took the articles they found and snowballed the references from those articles to get other forms of research to include. They didn't tell us how they broke it down, but they came down to 36 studies. The questions we asked: from an evidence-based management perspective, did the author make the case for why this study was needed? Yes, they did make the case on why the study was needed. Was the systematic review process transparent? Was it rigorous? Or what biases are making these determinations? No, there was no way that I would be able to replicate their process or even understand for the most part how they got to the information on their reasoning and scoring for their synthesis. The next thing we needed to do was assess the two review articles against one another. To do that, we used an assessment tool called TPUPAS. TPUPAS is a proven systematic review assessment tool. It covers transparency, accuracy, purposivity, utility, propriety, accessibility, and specificity. Each one of these areas is very specific to your review, and it can judge one review against the other. And you do this by using your research question. We went over transparency earlier. Are the reviews transparent, or could they be scrutinized? Accuracy. Is the data clear? Is it justifiable? Are you able to back it up? Is somebody else able to reproduce it? Purposivity. Does the review fit the research question you're seeking? If we are looking for flexible work schedules, does it talk about that? Utility. Is the research useful to our question? Propriety. Was the research conducted in an ethical, legal manner? Accessibility. Was the research easy to understand by the reader? Could anybody pick up the document and read it and understand what they're talking about? Specificity. Does the review meet or live up to standards in the field of study that they are researching? This is a chart of our assessment using the TPUPAS tool. You can see that we had the TPUPAS column on the left with each area of TPUPAS. Then we had each article, and under each one has a yes or a no. So for the first one, transparency. Was the process transparent? For the Menes and Killer review, yes, it was. But for the Vordy, Pawi, and Veldehoeven review, it wasn't. It wasn't clear how they researched their data. So we went through each area and we graded each area. You can see by the chart that one review was much better for our research question than the other review. In conclusion, the Vordy, Pawi, and Veldhoven review did not fit the current need at Locus. As well, their review methodology was confusing and would not be able to be reproduced by future researchers. Mendes and Kelleher, on the other hand, did fit well with the current need at Locus. Their findings, while not completely conclusive, did support the amendment of flexible work schedules to help employees with an overall work-life balance. Employees could experience organizational commitment, less stress, and more job satisfaction, which is what Locus is looking for to help with the current issue of employees leaving. Circling back to our recommendations of a survey, the 90-day trial run of flexible working schedules, and a follow-up survey to provide metrics and give Locus the information and data they will need to help them move forward with the possibility of flexible working schedules in the future.